Welcome to Sonia's podcast. And here we are. Welcome back. We're already in July. And as you know, each year I select a topic to explore and I do research and I present on a team. And the topic for the podcast in 2026 is to invite someone I know, a student, friend, or teacher whose life has been changed by spirituality and embracing the spiritual transformation and learning of how to use their special abilities or what made them different from the norm. So this is to normalize the experience and to make people feel that they can come forward and share their own personal stories. The idea is that hopefully you keep it on the lighter side and that it encourages you to be hopeful and explore through classes or workshops or books to develop those abilities. Tonight joining us, we have Tanis Helliwell. We can call her a life trailblazer because she started a while ago, while she was 28. And from childhood, she's had visions and encounters with elementals, which we'll talk about, tyrant teachers, sacred sites, and dark night of the soul. And going through all of these events, Tanis grew into an author, a speaker, and a teacher. She has online classes, in-person retreats and classes. She travels to Europe to teach as well as in Canada. And we'll go through some of her books because she wrote a bestseller, Summer with the Leprechauns. So I imagine it must have been something else to talk about leprechauns and meeting them and talking to them. She also wrote Decoding Your Destiny, Manifest Your Soul's Purpose, Hybrid, So You Think You Are Human, A Dragon's Tale, which relays the story of the dragons, and then Good Morning Henry, which is your body elemental. And she's now just come out with her new book, Life of a Mystic, which is her story. She'll share with us tonight. Welcome, Tanis.
Well, it's a treat to be with you, Sonia.
Oh, thank you. So Tanis and I have known each other now for already 11 years. So time flies.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we first met when you did a book signing in Vancouver. So
that's correct. Yes, at Banyan Bookstore in Vancouver.
That's right. So that's how we've met. And I worked with Tanis, and some of her Transforming Your Fear, Transforming Your Work were workshops that really helped give you a different perspective and allow you to grow into a spiritual transformation. But tell us, Tanis, when did you know that you felt things differently or saw things differently than people around you?
As a child, I realized that I saw and heard things that other people did not. I think I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I was going to school with some girlfriends, some little children, and one of them said nice things to me, but really didn't think nice things about me. There was a difference. And so I said, well, why are you saying nice things, but you're thinking not so nice things? And I told her exactly what she was thinking. And like, she was horrified. And then she didn't want to be my friend at all. And neither did the other girl. And so I went home and I tried that at dinner table with my mom and dad. I would think one thing and I would say another. And to my horror, I discovered that they couldn't tell the difference. So that was very, very young that I discovered this.
And so what did you do with that discovery?
I shut up. I decided to keep a low visibility, be a good child, and be as invisible as I could possibly be, because I did not want to be discovered. And yeah. Being discovered would not be safe, Sonia.
Oh, and this is important because a lot of the people that listening to these podcasts and YouTube videos are in the same boat, right? They know there's something different about them, but they're kind of, weary about talking to people about it. I found that we started the meditation group here, and people are like, oh, you like meditation? Yes, we do. And it opened up the door for them to actually start talking about things because they thought they were the only ones, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So then you kept all this inside, but eventually, obviously, something made you want to share. So, because at 28, you started teaching spiritual topics. So, what happened in between that made you realize that you needed to share your experience?
Well, these gifts, if you like, became stronger and stronger during my childhood and adolescence. But I kept on suppressing them and trying to be normal. Whatever I thought normal was, I wanted to be it. And and that I thought I was succeeding. I mean, I had a boyfriend, I had girlfriends, I was passing in school, not doing great, mind you, but I was passing. And so I really thought I was doing fantastic, even got into University of Toronto. And my first year in University of Toronto, when I'm going to continue being invisible and normal, I thought I would spend a lifetime like this, by the way. What happened was I had a near death experience. I went skiing with my brother, and I'd never done this before. And I got on the rope tow to go up the hill, and the rope twisted around my neck, and I ended up hanging by my neck.
Wow.
And one hand was holding the rope and the other hand was holding my neck, my scarf, and all time stopped. I had absolutely no fear, and I saw that I had complete free will to choose to leave or stay. And I saw exactly what would happen with both paths. And I saw that if left, as in I died, my parents would be devastated, absolutely devastated. And I saw if I stayed, I heard clearly, you will not be able to start teaching until you're 28. So I put in my time, um, got 3 degrees, became a high school teacher and counselor, just like
So,
everybody else.
yeah, but so what were you 3 degrees you got? You're a teacher, high school teacher, counselor?
Yeah, I got a BA, then an honors BA, then a BEd, and then a master's in adult education. So I think this is important, Sonia. And it's important that people learn how to manifest using the laws of the world, that they know how to drive a car, pay their taxes. They make enough money to pay their taxes, but pay their taxes and have relationships and just, be able to be in the mainstream. As Jesus said, be in the world, but not of it.
Yes.
And so I think in our teens and our 20s, I'm grateful that I had that opportunity in a safe time in the world. My parents were very lovely. They didn't fight, and I didn't have a broken home, and they didn't abuse us. So, so I think that this is very important.
Absolutely. But it's not everybody who gets the opportunity to have that
That's
wonderful.
right. Not everybody gets that. I understand this, that not everybody gets that. But if you do get it, you're lucky. And even if you don't get it, I still think you have to somehow find a way in order to manifest in the world. And be
Absolutely.
safe, and be safe. As far as other people are concerned, you become safe.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that right, it's the soul having a human experience, right? So
Hmm.
we need to embrace the human part of the experience. Otherwise, why incarnate at all? So indeed, it's important to tie those two ends. So now you went to university, you have this near death experience, which is the first time I hear about it, actually. So I never knew
Well,
that.
yeah, I write all this stuff in my memoir. Yeah, I think I do. I'm not sure if I do actually.
Well, I think that would have been a huge trigger for you to realize, okay, so I mean, all of a sudden you've been hiding for all this time, and now you're going to have to become a teacher of it at 28. So at least it gave. Well, how old were you when this happened?
19 when I had the near death experience and
So they
made my
gave you
decision.
they gave you 9 years to prep yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I got 9 years to study and 9 years to I traveled. I remember between one degree and another degree, I took a year off and hitchhiked around all around Europe and North Africa just with a pack on my back. So I got to meet other people in other cultures, and and it was also an introduction to other food. My parents were they just had a hardware store, and my parents didn't go to university. In fact, my dad only had grade 8. So I was not raised with any classical music. I was not raised with any art. Their idea of reading was Reader's Digest and the newspaper. So I got to go to art galleries and go to concerts and expand in that way too, which and anybody can do this. You have to seek out things that you're thinking is going to fill the picture of what's available to you as a personality.
And I think that personally, when I started traveling, is when things started opening for me, because it gave me different perspective and a different side of
Mhm.
reality, right? So I had a house, I had a car, I had a job, I had all these things, and I wasn't happy. And I went to Peru, and I was sitting on the dirt eating their food that they were willing to share with me, and they're laughing, they're having a great time, and I'm like, what is it that I'm missing? What's wrong with me that I'm not happy and I have so much more? So it's obviously not about material things. It's not about possessions. It's about something intrinsically in the inside, right? And
Yeah.
that's really what allowed me to start looking for new answers, or a whole new search began.
Yeah, so true. So as you say, travel can really do this to people because you're out of your normal routine. And I think that anything that, enters your world, which is outside of the normal routine, whether it's even walking a different way home or doing a different hobby, whatever it is going to expand people.
Absolutely. I tell people that creativity is very, very important, because it allows you to discover something new, and maybe testing new boundaries, right? I just had a retreat that just ended, and I made them paint, and one person went, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm not asking you to be Picasso overnight. I just want you to take a paintbrush and put some paint on the canvas. It's fine. You'll do fine. So getting a little bit outside your comfort zone, staying safe, there's not no harm that it kind of come to you by doing something like that, right? But trying something new is kind of nice. Opens you doors.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you traveled, and when I traveled, I found people were so kind,
Very welcoming.
very welcoming, very kind, just curious about you and your life and non judgmental. And I think that when we have these experiences and we meet people who are not like us, yeah, that this is another opportunity to increase tolerance in the world.
So just so people know, how tall are you? You're 5 foot?
Presently I'm 5'1.5".
But
I
the half
used
is
to,
important.
I used to be 5'2.5", and now I am shrinking.
So I just want people to picture this little lady that's 5'1.5" and with a backpack walking, and exploring the world. Like that would be something that I would be curious about. Like, where are you from? Why are you here? Right. So eventually you started teaching. What was the first things you decided to start teaching and why?
I had started meditating when I was only 20, 21, because Maharishi came to the University of Toronto and he was the Beatles guru. And so, I wanted to go and see what this was all about. So I decided I would start doing TM. So I had already been a meditator for years at this point. So that increased these things that were happening to me. And then I went to, it was a woman by the name of Helen Wambach. And I think she wrote a book, Life Between Life or something like that. I cannot remember the name of it, but a wonderful woman. And she was doing a whole weekend on past life regressions. So a bunch of my friends and myself, we went and found and had these past life regressions, and even did an exercise to the beginning of this life to find out when did we come down, when did we choose our mom and our dad, and what's our purpose, and all of this. So I'd already done this in my 20s. And I wanted to make these spiritual areas available to others. So that's what I started teaching, and dream work, because I'd gone down to, it was called ARE in Virginia Beach. It was
Yep.
Edgar Casey's place. So I'd gone down there to do a dream workshop as well. And I had already been analyzing my dreams. So my first workshop was meditation, working with your dreams and past lives, and what's your purpose this life. That was my first workshop.
Okay. A pretty
Right,
loaded
right
weekend.
off, right in the get-go, 28. And what
So
was so interesting is my mother and a lot of women my mother's age started coming and studying with me, which was
it went.
very interesting.
Well, and that only reinforced the fact that people were hungry for this kind of stuff, right? So
Yes.
a few people needed to be brave and bring this to the forefront, and present that to others, and opening the doors to others to come and explore. So you had the
Yeah.
gift of telepathy, and then you said that through meditation, you kind of amplified. So what happened after? What came next for you?
What came next after doing those kinds of things? Well, I got a spirit guide, and
Okay.
this is also a very common thing that I do talk about in my book, my memoir, that very often people get a spirit guide as one of their earliest things that happens for them. So that happened for me as well. And I had two, and I was with them for 6 years. And then after 6 years, and it had been mostly the woman I had worked with. She was an Indian woman from India, and she was teaching me love. And the man was more like a Mexican shamanistic guy. He looked like something out of Don Juan or something like this. And he was teaching me wisdom. But I would say like 95% of the time I worked with the woman, because love is really what I came to learn in this life. And I already, and he said so too. And he said when she left me, because she said I learned as much as she could teach, then I went to him and I said, now you, and he said, no, I'm taking you. And he called me brother. which was interesting because I thought, oh, he's having trouble noticing different parts of my anatomy, which don't conform to brother. But I guess it was just a term, you know. And he called me brother and he said, no, I'm taking you to my master, our master now. And that is when I started working with the masters. Mm-hmm.
Cool, cool. So, throughout these experiences, eventually you also you worked with some First Nation, I
I
believe.
did, yes, I did. In a lot of places. I worked with, my name is Cree, as you know, Sonia. And in Cree, and it's my birth name, I didn't give it to myself. And my father, who had no psychic gifts, actually had this, uh,
Epiphany.
eureka moment where he said to my mother at 8 months, if it's a girl, we have to call her Tanis. And for my mother, this was like holy Christmas. And so she said, okay. And so Tanis it was. And so he was working with a Cree man. And the Cree man said to my dad, and he'd been working in a factory actually. And he said to my dad, well, her name means my daughter in Cree. So I grew up knowing that my name meant my daughter in Cree. But then when I was about 35 and I already had been working a lot with First Nations people, a Cree medicine man, it was actually in Calgary. I was there doing a workshop, and this man came over to me to talk to me, and I saw his on the back of his leather jacket was this Thunderbird. And so I wanted to talk to him about that. And he was telling me about that. And I said, well, he said, I'm Cree. And I said, oh, I have a Cree name. It means my daughter, Tanis. And he said, oh, in Cree, we say Tanis. And it's actually daughter to the people. And it's the
Oh,
one we give our spiritual ones. Isn't that? And so I remember when I studied with this really, rogue of a medicine man, but brilliant, Harley Swift Deer, a Cherokee in the States. And he said, everybody has more than one path, and you have at least three.
okay.
And so I think that the First Nations is one of my paths. And this is, what draws us together too, Sonia,
Mm-hmm.
And then another path is, of course, the Celtic, the Irish. But really, my other path is the Indian. It's the Indian from India. It's the
Okay.
old Vedic. It's the old Vedic tradition.
Because would that tie in with Yogananda?
Very much. And I've been a student of Paramahansa Yogananda now for 6 years. I started reading, some people probably know his book, brilliant book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And a lot of people only read that and never go any further. But in my 30s, I read that, and then I started reading his other books, many of them, which were talks that were transcribed into nice little chapters. And I would read all these. And his master is who I always felt closer to, who is Sri Yukteswar, who is wisdom. And Paramahansa Yogananda is love first. And then if you read my book, Hybrid, So You Think You're Human, you'll have a part in that book. Yes, there's a part in that book. And it's about how Sri Yukteswar had said to Paramahansa Yogananda after he died. So Sri Yukteswar is dead and buried, and Yogananda is grieving. And he appears in three-dimensional reality and is hugged by Yogananda for 2 hours. And during the conversation, Yogananda says to him, well, where are you now and what are you doing? And he says, I am in the high astral world, working with people on their last incarnations, astral incarnations, before they move on to the causal. And Yogananda said, tell me about that. And he said, well, in this world, there are gnomes and goblins and demigods and mermaids and I've written a book, and now I am reading this. And as soon as I read that, I thought, and that was in 2015, that book came out. I knew I had to commit. I had to commit to that whole lineage of Sri Yukteswar and Paramahansa Yogananda, that they'd kind of had me on a fishing rod, reeling
Reeling you
me in. And there I was, and I couldn't be denied anymore. And so I committed. And so I am a devotee of Paramahansa Yogananda and will be for the rest of this life for sure.
So now you're talking about goblins and fairies and leprechauns because you've had a very special experience. Now I don't know, how old were you when you went to that cottage in Ireland and met, can I say his name?
Lloyd.
So I because there was a time where he wanted to be more private. So Lloyd is invited to join us should he have any comments. So I always welcome Lloyd in any conversation I'm having. So how old were you when you went to that cottage in Ireland?
I was in my early to mid 30s.
Okay, so not much further than when you started teaching, really.
No.
And all of a sudden you're in Ireland and people are telling you, oh, that cottage where the little people are. And then all of a sudden you get introduced to Lloyd, the leprechaun. Please tell us about this.
Okay. I thought that I was supposed to be here for humans. And I had no idea that I was ever going to do things with dragons or elementals or leprechauns. So it was a surprise. I rented the cottage sight unseen. And I walked in the front door, and there was a male and female and 2 children, leprechauns. And he introduced himself. The children didn't speak. The woman didn't speak. It was only Lloyd. And he introduced himself and said that they knew I was going to be there the whole summer. They were kind of waiting for me because they knew I could see them and talk to them, and that he was going to guarantee my safety because I was on a dangerous lane. Dangerous, the goblins might, do something to me. And he'd protect me, but he was going to ask me for something at the end of the summer, and I had to commit now without knowing. That ended up being writing a book, Summer with the Leprechauns. And then he said, but you can't do it until for 10 more years. So it didn't come out until almost this new millennium. I think it was 1998 or something that it came out.
So, and why did he want you to wait 10 years before you could publish your experience with him?
Because people were only starting to believe in angels at that point. So it was more important that people start believing in angels and UFOs and all of these kinds of things. It was more doable. And after they started doing crop circles and UFOs and angels, then people could start believing that there could be really elementals, nature spirits, and that these aren't just myths.
But isn't it interesting that there was a time where the elementals, so just for everyone, elementals are gnomes, leprechauns, they could be fairies, they could be elves, they could be goblins, they could be many, many things. But people used to
Trolls.
chat, trolls, they used to be able to chat to them, interact with them, and they were part of the human lives. And then it became myth. And now we're starting to open ourselves again to this reality that they do exist and they are there and they share this space with us.
Well, that's because we're starting to move up to a higher frequency. And and this is an organic process. The earth is moving, the sun is moving, the whole cosmos is moving. And so we are being dragged, moving into a higher, into a higher frequency as well. And so that's what's happening. And the elementals live in an astral world, which are just a little bit higher frequency than our third dimensional reality. So that's why people are starting now to see them, hearing them, having experiences of them. And I'm looking behind you, and what you have behind you, this beautiful bridge and this beautiful forest setting and some water down there. And and I'm thinking that's
Lloyd is right
perfect.
there.
Yeah, that's a perfect environment for elementals, unlike my background here, which is a plain white wall.
Well, I'm lucky because in Alberta, I live on 3 acres. And Lloyd did come for a visit, which was
Oh,
interesting. And so we're outside, and it was during a retreat. So we have other people on the grounds. And I'm keeping an eye on the grounds because it's 3 acres. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing this thing in the distance. And I'm thinking, is this a fawn? And if the fawn's alone, he must be hurt. And at first I thought it was maybe, no, those ears are way too big to be a fawn. What is that? So I'm walking outside towards, what I'm seeing, but it's quite a ways away. So it's not very clear, the image. And I'm getting closer and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Lloyd. And unbeknownst to me, two other people are seeing him as well at the same time, are also
wow.
walking towards him. And then all of a sudden he jumped and he went in the ground. So I'm like, okay, again, I'm gonna have to walk all the way there, make sure there's no actual physical hole, that it's not a rabbit that went down a hole or something. And it was really Lloyd that was just there, and he was just so happy that he's got a tunnel into my property. And the other people are like, you saw this, right? I'm like, well, I definitely did. And so 4 people
Wonderful.
saw him appear at the same time, and we were all walking towards him. So he even comes and visit me all the way out here. So it's kind of nice.
This is wonderful, wonderful, Sonia. Well, as you know, he can travel in space and time, and he is interested in going wherever people are trying to work with elementals. And so that's one of the things you do. And so he wants to support you and bring some other elementals there to work with all those people you're teaching.
Absolutely. And the goal of the exercise was to go outside and connect with nature and let an elemental come towards you.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
Lloyd delivered.
Wonderful.
So you wrote Summer with the Leprechauns, and it's now being translated in how many language?
About 11, I think.
That's quite a success to be, to share this story with 11 different cultural backgrounds.
Yes, it's even in Korean. And even today I received an email from my Korean publisher, and they published also Good Morning Henry. They're very supportive. And they said, could I please, come on for only half an hour to talk to the readers because they're all studying my book. And I mean, isn't this amazing? And that's
it is.
Lloyd.
But that's the point, right? The idea is to trigger some sort of, curiosity, I think, and being able to allow other experiences to come to you without thinking I'm crazy or I'm nuts or I can't talk about this, right?
Yeah, I think that's very important. I remember Einstein said something. He said, the person without awe is like a candle without a wick.
Not much, right?
Yeah, yeah. They can't light their Kundalini fire and have these experiences. So, we have to have awe, and awe of, Mother Earth and nature, and, how spirit has evolved all these wonderful beings on the earth.
So, to follow up with Summer with the Leprechaun, was it the hybrid book that followed, or did you write a second book about Leprechaun?
Yes, I wrote a second book, Pilgrimage with the Leprechauns.
Right.
And that book was about taking 30 people from many different countries to meet to Ireland to have their wonderful fairy experience. But Lloyd hijacked the trip. And so anyway, it turned out to be, on one level, a complete disaster. And on another level, what he was trying to teach people was to give up expectations and control,
right?
And having it their way. Exactly. And to just go with it and enjoy. And there would be so much more that they would learn that way. And so these tourists divided into three different groups. And one group, they got it and they were laughing and joking, whatever. Another group was, if Tanis ever does another tour, I'll never, ever be on it. This is the worst time of my life. And then the third the third group sort of didn't know what to think of the whole thing. But interestingly enough, when the book came out, some of the people who hated my guts by the end of that tour and blamed me. Can you imagine?
It's not me.
They were writing saying, where can I get the book? I'm telling everybody about it. Well, you know how people love to tell stories about what they've survived.
Exactly. But and I think that's really important what you just brought up, is because if you control the entire timeline, right, and you every moment is planned and prepared for, there's no space for the creativity, there's no space for the inspiration to crack through, right? There's no space for the little guidance or intuition to seep in and allow you to, oh, look, there's something to the left and to the right. So I think those moments are important. Like, having a sort of a plan is good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any plans at all, but allowing a little bit of space, right? A little bit of
totally
leeway.
Oh, I had a plan, Sonia. I had a plan.
I know.
Which I had given to the tour guide, and yes, and I even gave them all the places we wanted to go to, all the places we wanted to stay. I had a lovely brochure all about it. I had a plan. I arrive in Ireland, and I'm having my first meeting with the bus driver and the guide, the tour guide, only to find out that each of them has a totally different plan from mine and from each other.
Okay.
3 different plans.
And everybody wanted to be the leader?
Well, I don't know. The tour guide, oh God, the tour guide, turns out he hasn't been to half the places that we were going to. And
at one point, the bus can fit on the road or something. And
yeah, we were in County Armagh, and our bus driver, it turned out it was his bus, spanking new bus, where he wouldn't open the toilet for us, even though we had a full bus, over 30 people on the bus. But he wouldn't open it because it's his brand new bus. So we had to go in the bushes. But anyway, we're going down a road in Armagh, and it turns out we're going the wrong way down the road. So now the the bus driver says to the guide, "Get out and help me here. Get out of this situation because we've blocked 4 lanes of traffic." And the bus driver heads out the door and goes into the nearest store and never reappears. So I have to get out and direct this mega bus with going, "Stop here, go here." I was never trained for stuff like this, and people couldn't believe that this little tourist was out there, and people on the bus were taking pictures of it. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy, really.
It's a good book.
Yeah, it's in the book, and Lloyd's books are all very funny from his point of view.
Just so people know, I told this Tanis before we started. I have those books, but people borrow the books and they love them so much that they don't bring them back. So I can't show them to you guys because they've gone missing. So now when people borrow books, they have to sign. And I say, when I ask for the book back, if you don't give it back, you have to give me money so I can buy another book, because Tanis is getting rich just off of me buying more copies of her book because my copies never come back. But that's how much I love your books.
Oh, thanks, Anya.
And I think that they bring something that no one else offers. So they bring a truth, they bring an honesty, but they also bring a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. And I think that's really, really important. So I want to talk about Decoding Your Destiny, because the information in this book I remember blew my mind, because you talk about Atlantis, you talk about Lemuria, you talk about, where are you getting this information? How are you getting to write about this? Is it a remembrance from a past life? How do you get that information?
That book actually was my first book that ever came out. It came out in 1988, the original version of it. And I was told in meditation to go into a retreat for the entire summer, and that I would be told when I was in retreat what I was supposed to write. So I got a computer. I never had a computer. I got a computer. And there I was sitting my first day, and people say, "Is it channeled?" And the answer is no, it isn't channeled. It was that I went up to these higher realms to be able to talk and get this information. It's called the Book of Life, or the Akashic Records. And it's about not only humans' history, but the history of the cosmos and all of this. And so that's available to all of us. And so I went to the Akashic Records, and I just started transcribing. And so that book came out in 1988. There were 5,000 copies. They were all sold. And I never taught from my own book, but a lot of other people did. And then when we formed the International Institute for Transformation in the year 2000, I started to teach it. And so the book you're holding is a completely re-edited version that came out like in 2011, because it took me those 11 years to bring what I had received or seen down into this manifested reality, to get exercises for people to do. And that book kind of just slept for some years. And in the last 2 or 3 years, Sonia, that has been moving ahead in how many people want to read it, which is interesting to me.
And that's why I'm mentioning it, because I read it and I fell in love with it. And I'm like, how come not more people are reading this? Because this is good information for. There's a lot of basic, like when we started the podcast, we talked about we need to manifest within the law of the universe, right? But the law of the universe is, it's, if you go to a country, it's legal, marijuana is legal in Canada, but you go to a different country and it's not, and you show up with drugs, you'll get arrested. And the onus is on you to know the laws before you go there.
Yes.
and I think in the same fashion, the onus is on us, the souls that are incarnated as human, to figure out what the laws are of the universe while we're in our bodies.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Really excellent. And I agree with that.
So,
Totally.
and I feel that decoding your destiny really helps you understand what we're all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you also have courses that people can buy. Now, I noticed that you do some of it online now, but there's Transform Your Fear, Transform Yourself, Transform Your Work, right? So you're allowing through workbook and activities to explore our lives and allow us to develop a perspective about our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was teaching, I was leading a group who had all purchased Transform Your Work. And there was some resistance at the time. And they were like, well, I work for a government agency. I'm a teacher. I work in a school. I can't do that. I can't transform it because I have to do whatever they say I need to do. And I said to them, I said, well, I said, you may not change the work, but you can change yourself at that work.
Yes.
You can change your
Totally.
attitude. You can change the way you act and respond to other people around you. You can definitely change the energy and attitude you walk into work with, right? So there's still things you it's your power, right?
Absolutely.
So I
And
think
wherever we find ourselves, I mean, we're supposed to be there. Why second guess? Why second guess spirit?
and so, and allowing to not plan everything and have control over everything, which is more ego, I think. Allowing for that space and this inspiration is allowing the more soul part to kick in.
Yes, yeah, it is. And I've always talked about the soul infused personality. So you've got a personality, I've got one, so has Mother Teresa, so did Nelson Mandela. We've all got unique personalities. Um, but, and that is the vessel that spirit wants, that our soul wants this particular go around to find the information, teach the information, be of service in any way we're supposed to be of service in the world. So we've got the right personality.
But I think too, some people think, do I have to become Mother Teresa or Nelson Mandela? Which, by that
No,
meaning,
no, because that's his personality. I mean,
so
like the Dalai Lama said something. He said, I'm not trying to make people into Buddhists. He said, if you're a Christian, become a better Christian.
right,
And
and I think
that's the
that,
point.
and also that it doesn't have to be your whole life dedicated to that, because I have some people are like, well, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I can't just drop everything and become a nun or whatever. I said no, but you can become a better human in your
Yeah, and
everyday
you can become a
interactions,
better mother, a better mate.
right? And we can contribute even though it's not necessarily for 24/7. We can volunteer, we can give of our time, and that is also part of us contributing and being of service.
Absolutely.
So,
Volunteerism is very important.
right, imagine the world if everybody donated 4 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours less TV and 4 hours in service of others. I
Yeah,
think within a year the whole planet would look different.
absolutely. And we just have to go with whatever we have a passion for. If somebody wants to collect empty Coke bottles on the side of the road, then that is being of service. Or if you want to, go to a distress center and man or woman the phones at night. That's what my mom used to do. When my mom was 70 years old, she was doing the night shift at a distress center.
Wow, look at
I
that.
know. And
That's
during the
impressive.
day, she was delivering Meals on Wheels to seniors. And she did that until her late 70s.
Right, and I've met some people who are 65, 66, they're retiring and they're like, well, what's the use now? What's my purpose now? I'm like,
Well, if
well,
they're alive, if they're alive, huh? This
right,
is
my sister, I told her, I said, you'll be a teacher. She's like, oh, I won't be a teacher. That's your thing. And I'm like, no, it's your thing. And she was teaching memory classes to seniors and how to,
Wonderful.
keep their memories active. And she's 78 years old. So it's not like she's young or anything, but she's like, my memory's intact. I'm like, that's right. So use what you have and share with others. Encourage others to move forward. I want to say hi to the people who are watching. It's okay to leave us a comment. We're live, so say hi and ask your questions if you have any. We're working our way towards Tanis's new book, which is The Life of a Mystic, and it's her biography. But I want to share some of the works that Tanis has done through her life, because she's done some pretty amazing work. So which one came first? Henry, right? And then Dragons.
Yes, Henry. Good Morning, Henry came before Dragons.
So we have Good Morning, Henry. And Henry is your body elemental. Can you tell us what a body elemental is?
Yes, it's our body elemental has come with us when the egg and the sperm unite, and it's downloaded with all the material, not only physical material, but also emotional, mental, spiritual material that we're going to need for this lifetime. So the body elemental builds not only the physical form, but our emotional body and our mental body and our spiritual body. And it, although it came in with this information, we can reprogram it. In fact, we reprogram it all the time, moment to moment. If we're thinking negative thoughts, we're reprogramming it. If we're thinking positive thoughts, we are reprogramming it. So that book, Good Morning, Henry, is about working with the body elemental to help reprogram it to be physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually healthy. So it is, I mean, Eckhart Tolle said, he said, people want to escape their body and think they have to escape this. He said, but before you awaken, you will have to return to your body.
Absolutely.
And this is true. We have to return and erase the old programs that we have, and that's our karma, that's our destiny, it's our responsibility.
Yeah, I do a lot of core belief changes, like erroneous belief or out of date beliefs. Things that you may have grown up with. Like my dad used to say, you have to work hard in life. And I wait a second, Dennis. Why do I have to work hard? Why does it have to be hard? Why can it not just be filled with grace and ease and butterflies and rainbows, right? Why does it have to be hard? And then he's like, well, he says, thief have it easy. But, so I said, so what you're saying, Dad, is I have to live an honest life. But it doesn't have to be hard. It only has to be ethical and honest. Well, you can put it that way. I said, I'd much rather put it that way.
That is excellent. Wow.
So that it doesn't have to be hard. It could be fine. It could be easy. And I'm very passionate about what I do. And for me, it's not work. It doesn't have to be hard anymore. The
Wonderful.
way I refer to the body elemental is that I'm the architect. And he's there as my contractor building whatever it is that I keep thinking and saying.
Yes. It turns out 2/3 of the way into that book that this body elemental, or the body intelligence, the body consciousness, has another name. And it is the Divine Mother. So okay. Yeah, so it's the Holy Spirit, which is the same as the Divine Mother, that builds all form in the entire galaxy. And so even though this is happening out there in the macrocosm, it's also happening in here in the microcosm. Yeah,
absolutely. Because I believe that God, the Trinity of God,
the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Well, from a Christian point of view, right? So, but from a Trinity point of view, you have the Word and the feminine aspect, the masculine aspect, and the love. And I believe that the universe is the body of that being. and that we're all
Yes,
contributing into the growth and evolution of that magnificent being. And we're a part of it, right?
I
Uh,
agree. Yeah.
so
I believe that God is evolving.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
our
And
God,
I agree.
our personal God is evolving based on our choices.
Absolutely. You know, explaining free will to people has been very interesting, because people are like, well, if I'm following God's will, then it's no longer my will. I said, no, it's your will to realize that it's much more wiser to, instead of being an ego and
Mm.
childlike, well, I want this and I want it this way, to say, you know, how can I help? What can I do to make the world a better place? By making a world a better place, that means my life is better, right? And I'm surrendering my ego to that it wants it this way or that way. And ever since I've personally made that choice of saying, guide me and I will follow. I will be your instrument. And my life has completely shifted into a very peaceful, graceful, loving environment and life. So I can only I encourage people to follow my footsteps. But that's why I have you as a guest, Tanis, so that people see, oh my gosh, right? There's another person full of wealth of information and has tools that I can use and that can help me grow and transform. And that's why I have you on the show today.
Oh,
So,
thanks.
well, I respect all the work that you've done. I've read all of your books. I've done all your stuff, your workshops. I've been to the retreats in Power River in Canada. I've been to 4 or 5, I think. I've been with you to Europe, right? So if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't have gone through all that extent, right? But I've through one of my workshop, the Akashic workshop, I have people meet their elemental, that version, that aspect. What I found was people who hold a lot of yin energy tend to have a more yang representation. And those who carry a lot of yang into it's like the balance. Then the elemental has a more yin form to it, more feminine form to it. And it doesn't matter. Like mine is a girl, because I've got a very powerful male energy or masculine energy, and I've seen a gentleman who has a more feminine energy, and he has a more masculine image that shows up for him. So, and we're both straight, so it has nothing to do with our sexual orientation or anything. So I think there's lots to be discovered, and your book is a great step in that direction.
Oh, thanks.
So I know you have a new book out, and it's The Mystic, but I wanted to talk about that journey that you took and how you got to call yourself a mystic. I mean, there's got to be something behind it, right? So this is kind of backbone of your entire process of, becoming that mystic, that wise person. So dragons, and the back of the book says dragons are real. so,
Yes.
so tell me, why write a book about dragons particularly?
Well, earlier we were talking about, you asked me if I was following Paramahansa Yogananda. And I said, yes, I do, and the whole lineage. Now, his master was called Sri Yukteswar, and we talked about him and how Sri Yukteswar obviously had had a lot to do with my elemental books and my book hybrids. However, I was meditating one day, and the dragon book is the last book before I wrote my memoir. And so it's only been out a few years. And I was meditating, and the head of this whole lineage, after you say, well, Jesus is, and so is Krishna, but the head after that is Mahavatar Babaji, who is that deathless youth in the Himalayas that some people go and seek and some people find. And we know that he always looks like he's 20 in his 20s, and over the decades, over the centuries. So that's Mahavatar Babaji. Now, when I meditate, I go through the lineage, and I respect them and I thank each of them. But I've never had any particular connection with Mahavatar Babaji until one day I was meditating, and all of a sudden there's Mahavatar Babaji, and he pulls me up into a high astral realm where I'm way looking down, not only on the earth, but I'm looking down not only on the solar system, but really a high place, like a galaxy place. And he said, "You have done enough for the elementals." And he turned and he went, and I saw a planet over this way, and he said, "What about dragons?" Well, I was so shocked. I found myself back in my body, just like that. And whew, boy, what was that all about? Well, that wasn't the end of it, because a few weeks later, there he is, and up I go again. And it's the same thing. You've done enough about elementals. What about dragons? And I had contact with dragons earlier in my life, more than once, in lucid dreaming, but also when I was with Swift Deer, I saw the cosmic dragon. And but I never ever thought I was going to do anything with dragons. And so then I knew I had to listen. But I was finishing off a book called The Leprechaun Story, which is Lloyd's autobiography.
That's right. I read that.
Yeah.
See how many books is missing from my library?
I know.
People listening,
So
bring me my books back.
I was finishing it off, so I wasn't going to start another book. And then I found myself with an enlightened master in France, Prajna Paramita, and she had asked me to come and teach. And so I was there to teach at her center. And it was the first night I arrived, and she said, "Come to the forest with me." She's taking me around. She takes me to the forest, and she said, "There is a dragon that has landed here in the forest, and I don't let any of my folks come here." And I knew right away it was this dragon who had come for me. And so the next morning, there I was. And the dragon said, "I got tired of waiting. It was time to come and start our work." And so the dragon's name was Jake, and it was the dragon I had met maybe 30 years earlier. And he was my dragon brother.
Yes.
And so it's the whole story about the dragon world and what's that like. And so half the book's about the dragon world, and half the book is about in our human world, what are the dragons here to do? So there's both of those stories, and he's a good storyteller as well. He's not Lloyd, but he's a very good storyteller.
But a lot of wisdom is held by dragons. So
a lot.
There's lots to learn, and they've been misportrayed, unfortunately, and they're not the violent destroyer that we've come to maybe believe from movies and other things. There's also, and again, missing book. There's also the book about the Hawaiian elders,
the high beings of Hawaii, and it's all about the ancestors. And in that book, I talk about the mo'o, which is a water dragon, and my mother is related to that water dragon. But I found out that through Jake and this, I found out that on the dragon world, I am a dragon. And this is another thing that has, you mentioned that I am a mystic. So what it is for me, it's stripping away of levels of my perception, really, because we tend to think of ourselves as human. And then when you talk about hybrids, then people think, well, maybe I'm a human, but I'm an elemental hybrid, or I'm an angelic hybrid, or a mermaid hybrid, and and that was another stripping away. But then when I got to the dragon book, I realized I was a dragon on the dragon world. So that we have these other lives that are simultaneous with this life as a human in these other realities. So, yeah, it's been a stripping away and an unraveling of the unconsciousness that we have.
And I think, yes, and bringing it to consciousness.
Bringing it into consciousness, exactly, Sonia. That's the point. And I think that if people resist this process and want to cling to what they think is their identity, their little me, they cannot go on this journey. The journey of transformation is not an adding. People think, oh, I have to add this information. No, it's a stripping. It's a stripping away to our essential being. That's what it is.
Remembering who we are.
Yes. Yes. And from that, we have to let go of our parents' tapes, as you said, our cultural tapes, our religion tapes, any tapes we've got.
That's right. So I think that one of the main purposes is to remember we are divine beings, and the human body is just a temple hosting that divine spark inside while we're here. And making this realization helps us then become co-creator and manifest things, right? So what would you say, speaking of your mystic book, I mean, that means you've done an overall of your life. What was the most important thing that you have learned?
It's a continual surrender, and that is the wrong word. But there isn't a word in our English language around what I want to say. Surrender for people, usually they put it in winners and losers. And this is not what surrender is. What it is, it's a melting. It's a melting into something. It's a releasing. It's a releasing of all levels of control. But it's not that you feel, oh, I'm going to lose myself. I'm going to go insane. Or these are personality things that go through us when we start losing control. But it's allowing. That's a better word. It's an allowing the process to unfold. And let me show them the book.
Yes. Show us the beautiful cover. Look
this
at
is
you.
The book. Thank you. That was taken a year ago in Holland, that picture.
Oh,
at
really?
The
well,
workshop
whoever
I
took the
was
picture
teaching
did a wonderful
there.
job.
Yeah, that was a nice job.
So when I would refer to this, then I would say that would be in witnessing rather than participating.
Yes, it's a both and, actually. It's an allowing the process to take place and witnessing it at the same time as you are consciously participating in it.
Your part, yeah, but we go back to the quote of Jesus, right? Be with the world, but not of the world.
Yeah, be in the world, but not of it. And he's talking about being able to function in the culture we are born into, the family we're born into, the education system we're born into, the world we have right now. So be in the world and function, for God's sake, but not of it. Not of it means that I think the truth evolves. I've often said this, truth evolves, and we have to let go of lesser truths greater truths to manifest in us. I'm right now, I'm giving up all my doing. I'm allowing my doing to and I'm allowing this process to be more in being. And so releasing these in person, 3 countries, and teaching in person, and still doing online. But I can see that the time will come when that won't be happening necessarily even.
Yeah, the being is somehow is the easiest thing because you don't have to do anything, and yet letting go of doing something seems to be the real challenge for most people.
Yes, that's it.
So now, with so much experience and knowledge under your belt, where would you encourage someone new to this? Where would be a good start for them?
Well, I always encourage meditation. Normally, I would say, just there's not a wrong way to start. If you go to a bookstore and you wander the bookstore and you're thinking, oh, I think I'd like to read a book about angels, then read a book about angels. If you say, oh, I want to read a book about dragons, then read a book about dragons. Read an autobiography, but there's not a wrong place to start. On Wednesdays, normally, when I'm not doing this with you, I am hiking with my hiking group. Now, I've been hiking with my hiking group for at least a decade, probably 15 years. And they never go to my book launches or read any of my books. But nor do I talk about all this stuff. I don't. I talk about flowers. I talk about hiking. I talk about the waterboard. I talk about what part of my body isn't working well that day. And I listen to others. And so this Life of a Mystic came out. And so they said, some of them in the group said, oh, I want to read that. So I'm thinking, oh boy. They haven't started with Summer with the Leprechauns. They haven't, So anyway, so one of them called me up, and, she's probably the one I'm closest to. And she said, who are you? Really? And I said, well, Carol, I am the same person you hike with. I said, but we wear different hats depending on who we're with. And that wasn't a hat I was wearing when I was hiking with you.
No, because you're there to hike. You're not there to teach. You're not there to,
No, I'm not her teacher. I'm not trying to get her to buy my books or tell her anything, and she really got it. She really got it. I said, look, I haven't met your grandchildren. I haven't met your children. That's a part of your life I don't know.
That's right. We're multifaceted individuals. We have there's a lot to us if we allow it. So now, what do you think was the personal benefit that you got from being spiritually awakened and soul-infused personality as opposed to ego-infused spiritual?
The more we engage in our own transformation, the better we're able to serve. We attract people to us like a magnet. Everybody has their frequency. And as we work on ourselves, our frequency changes for the better. It moves up, and it attracts new people to us who resonate at that frequency, and new opportunities come to us that we haven't had. So it's if I could leave people with one message, it is work on yourself.
Right? Because, if this is you, a black piece of tar, and you're like, oh, why am I alone? Why am I single? Why can't I find a boyfriend? And but you're gonna attract exactly what you look like. So why
Yeah,
not wait until you clean things up and you're all nice and beautiful and polished, and then something beautiful and magnificent who's also polished and has done their work and has done their healing and grow. And then there's more chance of this being a wonderful kind of connection. So I agree with you.
true.
Be patient, discover who you are, heal the wounds, and move forward. And then as you move, that's when you'll meet people. That's when, and the people you'll meet will resonate with you. So most likely will share your interests and be passionate the same way you are.
Absolutely.
So it's already been an hour and 15 minutes. I want to know, do you have any activities coming up that you can invite people to join you?
Well, folks can, go on my website, and I no longer do tours. I did it for 22 years to sacred sites all over the world, but I no longer do that. But I still am doing online courses, and people can go on my website, and we'll have another program coming up in the fall, and it will be on awakening, on consciousness.
And from my experience, I mean, that's a new one, so I haven't done that one. But I've done the transform your fear, transform yourself, transform your work. And what's the last one? Spiritual transformation, I believe, right?
Yeah, I have about 10 courses altogether that I have done online and that I have taught. But right online now, I've got the fear one online if people want it. I have courses on transform yourself online, and ones on ancestors on a different one of my websites, because I think ancestors are very important. So those are self-study courses, or you can buy it individually and others can buy it, and then you meet and have a group. And a lot of people are doing this now and forming groups. Which is very nice. And even Zoom groups are doing Zoom groups,
Yeah.
with my materials.
And from my personal experience is that it's easy to follow. It's easy to understand. So you don't need a degree to get through these on your own. You can, but it's true. Sometimes you crack open a book and you're like, what are they saying? What are they talking about? And they're explaining simple things, but in very complicated ways. They're making it more complicated than it needs to be. And that's one of the qualities of the stuff that you publish and that you created, is that just anybody can pick it up, no experience required, and they can just start building their knowledge and their own knowledge of self and wisdom through what you've created.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. And so all my courses, you get like a workbook of lots of exercises and information. Maybe the workbook 75 pages long, divided into modules. I also give them MP3 guided visualizations to go with
That's
each
right.
chapter, and I give them a video to go with each chapter. So, they don't need me. This is what I am working on in my beingness. I am trying to make myself redundant.
But it's kind of nice because it gives them a little extra, right? Something to work with. And do you still do the retreats in the summer in Powder River?
No, I'm giving up doing my in-person work. So
Okay.
I'm creating these self-contained courses with videos, audios, and the workbooks, and go for it. I
And
just
all of
want to
the
spend time meditating.
there you go.
And I
All
have
of
one more book I have to write. So
oh,
if I don't
really?
know, I'm not going to tell you right now. So
Ah.
no, not yet. Not yet. It hasn't birthed itself. Not even the first line has birthed itself. So I'm trying to just do these onlines and get all the information out. Then I can.
I agree. I'm kind of in the similar process. I'm publishing all the books to all the classes, and the Wisdom School of Spiritual Transformation program is being put on paper now, and it's liberating space in my brain, which now new ideas are coming in. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Good,
it's a never
good.
ending thing.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah,
So all of your
I love the emptying process.
it's nice, isn't it? And also starting to realize, like, oh my gosh, that's quite a bit of material. Like, this is not even half of the stuff you've written, and it's
No.
several inches thick, you know. So there's so much that is being shared, and I like that you can go at your own rhythm and at your own pace, and what you're ready for, what you're not ready for. So I think you've created a door for just about anybody to enter. You know, the spiritual people one, the woo woo one, the witches one, the, you know, more cerebral one. You know, everybody can have a book that they can step into this world with you and start learning. And
Oh, thanks.
and I really think the mystic book is gonna add to that credibility, because now you're sharing how you got there, how, you know, how did all these stories come about, and so I think it's very important. And
Yeah, and do you know what I did with that after I wrote the Mystic book? I had journals from when I was 13 years old, boxes and boxes and boxes, so that I could actually go and look at the dates and the information. I burned them all.
and I think it's a good process, because you're letting that go now. Now it's, you
Yeah,
know, it's complete. It served its
absolutely.
purpose.
Let
Yeah,
go of that.
technique. And for those of you who wonder, all of the contacts for the website and all that for Tanis is all in the comments. So you can easily find more about Tanis and her books. Most of your books are available on Amazon, are they not?
Yes, they can get every book on Amazon. Even the translated books are on Amazon.
So, alors, pour nos amis francophones, vous pouvez maintenant avoir
Oui,
Frankie
oui. Oui, there's I have 5 books in French now, Sonia. For some reason you froze on my camera. I don't know if I froze on yours, but you froze. But anyway, it's been lovely speaking with you, and I've totally enjoyed it. And thank you for having me
I'm
and
still here. I'm
everything you're
still
doing.
here. Sometimes StreamYards does this. It boots me out of nowhere, and for no reasons whatsoever. So
Okay.
I wouldn't leave.
Well,
Just like
maybe
that.
it's a sign, though. We should say bonsoir, adios.
I guess StreamYard just didn't like my French all of a sudden.
Okay.
But yes.
Bye-bye. I can't
let's wrap
hear
it up.
you anymore. It's
You can't hear me.
gone.
Okay. Well, I'm okay. Well, thank you everyone for tonight. We appreciate you, Tanis. We're grateful that you took the time tonight to come and talk to us about your book, your creation, and your new book about the mystic, your biography. And we'll be back next month in August. And of course, I don't have the paper beside me, but last Wednesday of August, I'll be back here again with a new guest. So check it out on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, or podcast. We're on all these different channels.
I'm going to say goodbye because I can't hear a thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Sonia.